We are live. Welcome, everybody. Happy Monday. Real quick, if you can hear me okay, please put a 1 in the chat. Get my headphones plugged in. There we go. Okay. Let me check my settings here. Someone asked me... Oh, mic check. Okay, there we go. The song from the intro, I saw someone was saying that they were trying to find it. Joseph, it's Tune Tank, the website. It's free. Unless you're using your videos, I think you have to pay for a certain amount. But the song is... Right, there we go, if I can spell it right. The song's called Samurai. It's by Pure. That's where you get it from. Oh, I should have copied the link, send it to you. But anyway, yeah, just go to Tune Tank. The song's called Samurai. It's by Pure. I do always have usually I'll have my music in the description as well. It's not always up to date, but usually I try to up to date it if I have something different. So anyway, sorry, because I've been asked that a couple of times. Anyway, let's get going. Welcome, everybody. If you're new to the channel, I am Chris with Monsters Under Our Bed. We cover true crime, mystery to the missing. Today we're going to be going into talking about Idaho4. If you've been with us for the last week, we've been breaking down some audio from the leaked footage from Linda Lane. I've been doing some more stuff with it and excited to show you guys. And before we get into that, we always like to get back by featuring the missing. Plus, we'll go with the updates because obviously there's been a couple updates regarding the Idaho case. But first, we want to feature the missing, and then we'll get into all the good stuff. So, today's missing, we have, I believe it's Rain Gonzalez.
Gags, broadcasting live at US.Watch to help find Rain Gonzalez. She was abducted by Lorenzo Guerrero, possibly in a silver 2007 Mercedes C230 with California license plate 5ZFS158. Carefully navigate to your assigned watch zone and check in to claim your reward at us.watch/findrain. Do not trespass or confront a suspect. To report a sighting or any suspicious activity, call 911 or tap the phone button. Stay tuned in to this broadcast at us.watch/findrain to get the latest information and search instructions pertaining to this alert. I'm going to let Deputy Phillips take it from here.
Thank you, Deputy Skaggs. And thank you to everyone actively searching at us.watch/findrain. Brad Davis just cleared their first watch zone. Today's top searchers are Hannah Harris with 2 zones cleared, Emily Miller with 1 zone cleared, and...
Okay. So anyway, we go back to her details. But yeah, 13 years old, I think she was abducted December 10th. So it's been just over a week. So obviously Amber Alert. And the suspect is this guy here, Lorenzo, 43 years old, and be on the lookout for this silver Mercedes 2007 with the license plate 5ZFS158. Looks like they suspect he could be heading to Mexico. Jason Drew, I think no way Brian could have done this. Be the only, I can't use the K word. I do. I think, in my opinion, I think he was the sole person responsible. But I know others feel differently, and we totally respect that. But yeah, in my opinion, I think, given his background, studying criminology, and it seems like he's been canvassing that place and doing his homework. And I really think there was just maybe one target, and it turned into, sadly, collateral damage, in my opinion. But I guess we'll find out when the trial comes. But anyway, that was the missing. So let's get into the updates, and then we'll get over to the leaked footage. So some good news, I guess, if you're believe it's Kohberger. Let's see, where is it? Of course, now I am not a lawyer, but basically they actually, let me pull up this. Let me just read this article. That'd probably be better. There we go. Here we go. So the defense. Oh, let's put this out. There we go. All right. So judge denies Kohberger's motion to dismiss the indictment made by the defense. So I'll just read this. It's a short article, but Bryan Kohberger, accused of taking the lives of the 4 Idaho students, faces the penalty. If convicted, his defense attorneys filed motions to have the grand jury indictment thrown out based on biased grand jury, inadmissible evidence, lack of sufficient evidence, and prosecutorial misconduct. In a lengthy motion filed by the court, Kohberger's defense team challenged the standard approved at the state used when presenting their case to the grand jury, a standard that has been used in Idaho for 100 years or so. And then basically, a grand jury is not a trial jury. Their job is to determine whether or not the state has sufficient evidence to proceed to trial. And anyway, the defense said was claiming that they didn't, and that got dismissed. So that is a win if you are you believe Kohberger is guilty. Bad news, which is really, and I think it's bad news for everybody, I think most would agree, is so people have been emailing, that's weird, it's backwards. Was it Scott Green, the University of Idaho president, the person that has the responsibility of the home now? And of course, there's been a petition because they mentioned that they're going to demolish the house December 28th, which is 10 days from now. And so I guess a bunch of people have been emailing him, and he actually responded. I don't know if it's just a typical automated response, but here is what they said. So thank you for writing your concern about the demolition of King Street House. I assure you that the university has carefully considered all aspects of this matter with the utmost sensitivity and respect. The house has been released by the court. Both prosecution and defense attorneys have expressed no opposition to its destruction. In addition, the FBI accessed the house in October. We kind of talked about that in the last show. So they did a bunch of 3D scanning. So they will have that for the trial, for the jury. And then it goes on to say, while we appreciate the emotional connection, some family members, which is something they wrote before. This part looks familiar. While we appreciate the emotional connection some family members of the victims may have to the house, it is time for its removal and to allow collective healing. The decision to remove the house during the winter break was made as an attempt to decrease further impact on the students who live in that area. So it is kind of new, that part. On a final note, the university is actively working towards the establishment of the Vandal Healing Garden and Memorial, so memorial for them. Students in the College of Art and Agricultural are developing plans for the shared healing space. Sincerely, Scott Green, President. So there's the response to that. So we're 10 days away, because we were in this position, what was it, 4 months ago, something around there, 4 or 5 months ago, where they were going to demolish it, and then we got a trial date, and I think maybe because of that, with the trial date was going to be in October, maybe they decided to hold back, but now with that still in the air as far as trial date, it doesn't look good. And yeah, it looks like there was a article, and I think even on the news, that supposedly Xana's mom had supposedly signed the petition, and I think the Gonzalez families, obviously they're outspoken about it. So it is terrible, but It seems like their mind's made up. So anyway, moving on. Karen says the memorial is on the campus, not the side of the house, which would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense. So anyway, moving on to the audio stuff. God, every time I pull this up, it goes into two screens here. All right, let me adjust it here. Give me a second, guys. We've got, holy cow, we almost got 500 people in here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm just trying to get this just right for you guys. So for anybody, dumb decision, I think, demolish it, yes, after trial. Yeah. Apparently, for anybody who's not up to date as far as the house condition, apparently they said, and this is months and months ago, they said that obviously they tore up a bunch of the flooring. I'm assuming because there was probably either latent footprints or blood. At the time, they even said there was, bad chemicals even in there. But then the funny thing is, we see like the defense team walked in there not too long ago. I didn't see any of them wearing like respirators. But yeah, the big one was that their argument is that the house really doesn't look the same. It's been tore up and everything. Although you would be able to just add in flooring, but to me, we're 10 days out. It sounds like their mind's made up. But anyway, so moving on to the footage. So if you haven't been here the last few times we've covered this case, I took the Linda Lane footage. Let me skip forward. For anybody that doesn't know the Linda Lane footage, which is this footage here. There's I originally said there's from 3 to 5 a.m., but actually there's from I think 1 to 5 a.m. I think some people have the earlier hours on their channel. Jeff H, I know he's been in the chat. I know he's got that posted on his channel. But I'm really focused on between 3 and 4:15, well, a little bit after 4:20, because those are the times that the suspect vehicle is seen. And anyway, of course, I ran some enhanced audio. I took the audio out of the video. I enhanced it a little bit and then plugged it back in. And anyway, throughout these last few live shows, I've been able to determine, and I'm like 90% sure, we hear vehicles throughout the video, throughout the 2 hours that we're going to play. We're not going to play the whole 2 hours, but from 3 to 5, you hear cars coming. And where the camera's positioned, it only leaves a few options of where are we hearing these cars coming from. And to me, I think we figured out they are coming from Taylor Ave, which kind of now gives us an idea of who's coming and going. And I'm still trying to do a little bit more on this, but let me show you what I've been able to kind of figure out. So if you guys remember, this is the body cam footage. During this, 4 vehicles are seen driving by. One at, let me get my notes in front of me. One is at 2:58. I think the first one is a car. Then we have a truck. And then a car and a car. Okay. So, I did this my last live, but I only had the chance to grab 2 vehicles, but now I was able to grab all 4 vehicles to kind of prove my theory. So here we go. This is the body cam footage. You're going to see a car go west from left to right on the screen here in just a minute. Oh, let me go a little bit. There we go. Here it comes. Okay, so we see the car go by. Thanks to somebody Jeff H. This is his YouTube video. He's got the video from Linda Lane from 2 to 3 a.m. So I was able to grab that so I could grab the audio from it. So, in theory, if the vehicles we're hearing are Taylor Ave, we should be able to hear a vehicle around that time. Actually, just before, because obviously Linda Lane is further over, so we'll hear the car first and then see it on screen. And so here is me matching up the times, 2:57, 46 seconds. Same thing here. And we'll hear the audio of the car first. The audio we're listening to is from the footage from Linda Lane. So we can hear the vehicle. Now, obviously, we're getting noise from that. I'm not sure. I wish I would have measured from where they're standing at, but maybe a football field away, maybe less than that. The vehicle. And I think it's quite possible that, these are down to the seconds. It could be possible that some of these, one of these, assuming probably not the officers, but maybe like the Linda Lane could be off by a few seconds. Would be unheard of. But, so there's one. I wasn't able to grab that because I didn't have this footage from 2 to 3. Now I do. So that further supports the theory that the vehicles we hear are coming from Taylor Avenue, which will give us a better idea moving on when it comes to the suspect vehicle. So now experiment number 2. So this would be kind of what it'd be like. Obviously the sounds would come first, and then eventually the people where they're standing, the car would be seen driving by. So we're going to do that 4 times, just to prove that I believe this is where the vehicles are coming from, and then we're going to further analyze the sounds before the suspect vehicle and after.
6:18. Yeah.
And there's an interesting, some interesting things I discovered.
That's not for me, okay? All right.
So same thing. At 3 minutes and 49 seconds, a truck is going to pass by. This time going east.
5977. Are you going to be issuing?
Go right now.
Copy. I'll bring him over and sit, write out one myself. All right, guys. Come on over here.
I know, it's crazy. Okay, so same thing. Let's test it out. So, I got them pretty closely matched up. I'm a few seconds off. But same thing. The truck will go by. Now this time it would be reversed. You'd probably have to see the vehicle and then hear the vehicle. Just to reenact that again, we see the truck go by, so this time it'd be opposite. This truck may be louder, so we were probably hearing more of it earlier.
Be smart about it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I didn't drink in college. I did. But I...
So again, third vehicle, just to kind of prove my theory here, and then we're going to get onto the suspect vehicle. Another car comes by, heading, it's kind of funny, they go west, east, west, east. Another car is going to go west.
Go staggering around the middle of the roadway, you know, afterwards. So, I'm not saying you're a bad person or anything, but there's a way to do it, obviously, and there's a way to do it. Not obviously.
It goes by at 3:12:15 seconds. So again, we would hear the vehicle first, and then see the vehicle a little bit after. This car's a little bit quieter. And you have somebody fiddling with their car nearby. The car go by. Ignore the guy fiddling with his car. And a few seconds later, we see the car go by. And one more time, and then we're going to get on suspect vehicle. Tom, I hope everyone's having had a great weekend. This is awesome work, Chris. Thanks for all your hard work. I know there's many off-camera hours you put into your shows. Thank you so much. Yes, I've spent many hours working on this, and I've got one more that I'm working on. We'll explain that here in a bit. Thanks for your great content, big updates for sure. Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you so much, buddy. And thank you to everybody. We've got over 600 people. We're going to show this theory one more time, and then we're going to move into the suspect vehicle. There's some very interesting things that happen.
What state was your license out of? Idaho?
So one last time, we have a car going west at 3:14 and 15 seconds.
Right?
Excuse me, east.
6:30. Wait. Okay, about 1:55.
So this would be, we'd see the car first, and then hear it second. Car goes by. Cars are a little bit harder depending on how fast they go too. But once again, we hear the car. So we see the car go by. And I'm sure there's probably a delay as the sound's probably traveling through, this alley. I think we're picking up two different alleys that the sound's traveling through. So they all pretty much line up as far as, you see a vehicle on the body cam footage, and then we go to listen on the Linda Lane footage, and we hear a vehicle. So I know some people are coming in here asking, what are we looking at? The best way to put it is, so the camera is situated right here. Now, if you were to do a 360 and move it out, the first thing you're going to touch is Taylor Ave, well before the Idaho house. And in the footage, we hear vehicles, but we don't know where they're coming from. But after doing a bunch of research, I think we're hearing cars going down Taylor Ave. It wouldn't make sense. Let's see. Give me a second. Let me save that where that's at. So we're hearing cars that are going down this road. Ooh, let me clear this real quick. Hearing cars going down Taylor Ave, I don't think it would make sense for Linda Lane because you would hear them. I think the sounds would get much louder because they'd be coming up Linda Lane. And then there's one more street over here, but it dead ends. And so I think the car would, I doubt there's many cars going down that dead end road. So I'm like 99% sure that the cars we're hearing are coming from Taylor Avenue. So with being able to figure that out, then we can kind of tell, we know that the suspect vehicle car is seen 5 times on this particular camera. So one of the things I was trying to figure out is, can we tell which way the suspect vehicle, before he arrives, which way he's coming from? Is he coming from Taylor Ave, which we would hear him? Or if he came from Willenta Drive, we wouldn't be able to hear him when he's entering. And then vice versa. When he's exiting, do we hear a vehicle on Taylor Avenue or do we not? Which means he went down Willenta Drive. Now, there's still variables where there could be other cars driving. So there are some holes into this, but there are some very interesting commonalities. For instance, his pass 1 to pass 2, it took him 8 minutes. Between pass 3 and pass 4, it also took him 8 minutes. Coincidentally, if you were to drive around the certain part of the neighborhood, it would take 8 minutes. So I think those 2 8-minute passes are him just driving around. But then there's something else that I kind of discovered. So anyway, so let's move on to the timeline. So he is seen at, of course, he left at 2:49, turns his phone off or airplane mode, whatever. His phone's not in service. He's caught on a couple of different cameras, but the one before he enters the neighborhood is him going down Steiner Avenue at 3:28. So we know that the suspect is traveling west and is going to be approaching the neighborhood. And right on cue, and this all kind of get put together. So we know from Steiner, you get on to Taylor Ave. And so look what time it is. It's at 3:29. He was spotted at 3:28. So, and that would take literally a minute from Steiner to Taylor. And here we are. We have a vehicle sound at 3:29. So I wanted to time it from when we heard that vehicle. So we hear that vehicle at 3:29 and I put 40 seconds. 3:29, 40 seconds. This will be important here in just a minute. We heard it about there. Let's get this just a little bit forward. And here we are. From the sound that we heard from Taylor Ave, a minute and 20 seconds later, we see suspect vehicle 1 for the first time in Circle LA. When we hear a car approximately a minute 30 seconds, a minute 20 seconds later, which we don't, which I think, and there's a commonality here that I'll show, but we don't hear the vehicle, we don't hear any vehicles for another 3 minutes. I think quite possible one or two scenarios. Either he parked and was surveilling the house. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. I'll try to get a chat here and I'll pause it here in a minute. But I think it's a good possibility he is surveilling the house because this is his first time getting here. Checking it out. I'm going to skip it forward here. And the next vehicle sound we hear from the time that we saw him drive around we hear a vehicle 3 minutes and 10 seconds after we'd seen him come around, which means we know that it only took him 1 minute and 20 seconds to arrive and do that. So we would think maybe 1 minute and 30 seconds if he were to literally just circle around Queen Road and exit and go down Taylor Ave. So there's either two possibilities. Either he did just circle around, and the reason why we didn't hear him in the minute and 20 seconds is he went down Walenta Drive, which is a possibility. Or he sat there for a good 2 minutes approximately, waiting, kind of scoping out the area. I would think that would make sense to me. And then he would exit out and then he would go down Taylor Avenue, which now is going to give him 5 minutes until we're going to see him again. So there's two possibilities. Either he went down Walenta or he did kind of wait for a few minutes checking out. But there's a commonality because there's going to be another time where there's 3 minutes and 10 seconds. So in my opinion, I think it's a good possibility that after the first pass, he waited. Now, obviously, when the trial comes, we'll learn way much more because there's a secondary camera and we'll know, and plus his cell phone, we're going to have much better idea. So really, we're going to learn way much more than I could ever decipher. So let me know what you guys think. You guys think he waited there for a little bit, kind of scoped it, be his first time approaching that night? I would think he'd want to, scan what the lights on. Was he waiting for the lights to turn off? And that's why he, arrived a bunch of times. Skull Scar gifted 5 Mob Crew memberships. That is so awesome. If you did get gifted a membership, please thank Tina. That is so awesome. Thank you so much, Tina, for the support. And Joseph says he did sit for a few minutes after arrival. I would think so. I mean, that would, to kind of canvas. To me, it wouldn't make sense just to drive around. I mean, yeah, you'd still be able to see some stuff, but to me, I think, if this was Kohberger, I think, he's doing his homework and he's just kind of seeing what's, is there movement, is there lights, and then he's now going to circle. So, we're going to kind of skip ahead. So, interesting enough, if he did one of the theories where he sat for a bit and then went to Taylor Ave, there is a direction he could go down, which is Walenta Drive from Taylor Ave. There's this little loop here. It's perfectly 5-minute drive. And it just so happens that we don't hear any vehicle. So, here's this next time we see him coming at 3:39. now this is the second pass. Now remember, the first time he passed, we heard a vehicle exactly 1 minute and 20 seconds before. But if we go to 3:37, there is no vehicle sound. From 3:37 till he shows up, I mean, even from 3:35. Man, I'd play the whole thing, we'll be here all night. But basically, hopefully you guys are understanding what I'm saying, is we do not hear him when he approaches. So that means, in my opinion, he came from Wilanta Drive. So there's no vehicle sound. Reached out to me for like different sounds that they've heard in these videos, and I appreciate it. I just can't get back to everybody. I'm just one person. I've got tons of emails that, hey, listen to this, listen to that, and I wish I could get to everybody. I'm sorry, I'm just one person. So we don't hear any vehicle after he had just made his second pass. So is he scoping out right here? Is he kind of parked somewhere? Because we know there's kind of a little back parking lot for this Queen Road Apartments that kind of overlooks basically this here. Quite possible that he's sitting there. So there'd be one or two scenarios again, because we don't hear the vehicle or any vehicle. So I'm going to go ahead and skip it forward again. And just like clockwork, 3 minutes. Once again, 3 minutes and 30 seconds, and we'll look here. I'll show you. So from the first pass, when he had passed by, we didn't hear a vehicle until 3 minutes and 10 seconds after. After his second pass, we didn't hear a vehicle until 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Almost, 20-second difference. So it could be one or two things. Either he did just circle around and then he went down Wilanta, which is possible, Or, in my opinion, I think he, especially those first two, especially when he first got there, he would have probably pulled over, scoped the scene. In my opinion, maybe he did the same exact thing. He pulled over, um, maybe sat there for about 2 minutes, um, and then did the same thing. He exited out and left on Taylor Avenue. Um, Now, of course, there is many variables. We could be just hearing another car, and he just took Volante Drive. Definitely many variables. I totally understand that, but it's interesting that the timing is real close together. And to me, I think he's a person that is kind of like OCD. He's very thorough. Um, Thank you so much. No, but we do have a really important camera next door to the house, which is going to be much huger than this, because obviously it captures audio from part of the crime. Which... Okay. Okay, so what I did is I skipped it forward because, so from past 2 to 3, he takes 18 minutes until he's seen again. So I kind of skipped it forward. One thing that's interesting is there is a lot of car activity between 3:45 and about 3:50. Almost, to me, in my opinion, especially around that time, it seems like maybe people were leaving a party, because there's a lot. There's a lot of car activity. I mean, every 30 seconds or so, there's a car. You hear a car. So to me, it's possible, because it's college town. There was probably a party going on. Because remember, it was Saturday night, the night before. This is early Sunday morning, so maybe there was a party going on and people are leaving real late. But anyway, so now we'll skip ahead some minutes, because, like I said, it's 18 minutes till he kind of comes back around. But here we go, another coincidence with the timing. Vehicle, and the vehicle we hear is at 3:55 and 45 seconds is what I wrote down. Literally between the sounds of the first pass, before the first pass, there was a minute and 20 seconds between the sound and the first pass, and on the third pass, almost exactly 5-second difference. Basically a minute and 20 seconds, minute 25, from a sound that we hear on Taylor Avenue till the vehicle, which means, in my opinion, is a good possibility that he came back down Taylor Avenue and he is now circling. Now, keep in mind, it was 18 minutes before we saw him last, so I think he went, when he left Taylor Ave, or wherever he left, he geared up. I think he liked what he saw from the second pass, after the second pass, and so he spent an extra 10 minutes maybe gearing up. pulled over somewhere. Clearly speculation on my part, but there are some commonalities when it comes to the timing. Let me get to chat, and then there's a little bit more, and then I've got one extra thing that I'm working on that I'm really excited. In my opinion, KB stalked his victim on IG. He had been in the house and gotten fired from his TA job. Yes, and that puts his plan in motion. Oh, he had this planned, in my opinion. I agree. I think his background, he wanted to become a cop. He went to schooling, and sadly, I don't know, sadly, but unfortunately, he did something. We don't know the exact details, but we know it involved females, and so it's basically the way you look at it is it was females that got him kicked out of this class because he was possibly being inappropriate. I think he was overstepping his bounds as authority, but we don't know the exact details, obviously. And so yeah, it sounds like maybe that turned into hatred and turned into more. I completely agree, Camilla. And thank you so much for the support. June, good to see you. It's been a minute. Most of the night was ice fog and 28 degrees. Ooh. To me, it sounds like a car driving over dry, crunchy snow ice. Now, keep in mind, the only snow that was really on the road would have been not actually in the road. It would have been like off to the side because there wasn't actually snow on the ground. We see patches of snow, but that's where like the sun isn't, on it. So where there's shadows and stuff. So, but yeah, it does sound like that for sure. There could have been pockets, yeah, especially here where he's going over it. It's totally possible that there could have been pockets, especially if the sun isn't able to hit it. I do agree with that sound, yeah. Thank you so much, June. And good to see you. Tina says, not sure if this goes to your tip jar. My brain injury is getting me confused. If not, I can also donate more memberships if it helps. Thanks for being patient with me. Thank you so much, Tina. No, you were awesome. Thank you so much. Happy Wife says, Chris, you've done an amazing, intricate job on this. I hope the prosecution gets a copy of your hard work. Thank you. I don't think they'll need it. Sounds like they've got much more to work with. But thank you. Okay, so something different with this one. I think this one, the lights are on so... Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. I think, because remember, Xana ordered DoorDash. Now, I did research on the DoorDash thing a long time ago even. When it comes to that order, it would typically take about 40 minutes for them to get it. So she probably ordered that about 3:10, sometime just after 3 a.m. And it would have taken them about 40 minutes from the order that was placed to it arriving. Because I did plug in the details. I put myself as the home as 1122, and then, yeah, so it takes about 40 minutes. So I think Santa knows that her order is on the way. And so I think he sees lights on or movement. And he does not do what he did the first two times. And he just passes and dips out. as you can see, we saw him at 3:57, almost on the dot. As you can see, the car is coming around. So we'll just say 3:57 on the dot as the lights are seen. Yeah, right there. So keep in mind, to get there, it's 1:20 or 1:25 approximately. And look what time it is. So if we just said 3:57 even, what do we hear a minute 20 seconds? Another car. Now, like I said, it could be somebody else's car. This is completely just based on theory and just what the sounds that I have and the clues that we can work with. But there are some definite commonalities, especially with the times, the 1 minute and 20 seconds from when we hear a car to when we see him approach, and then vice versa with this particular one. And there's also a second vehicle heard. And I believe that is DoorDash. Ordered DoorDash around maybe you meant 3:14, or you're thinking of the TikTok. 4:12 or 4:14 was the TikTok port sitters, unless you meant to put 3:14. But Xana was on TikTok at, was it 4:12 or 4:14? I want to say 4:12, but it might be 4:14. Maybe that's you may be mixing the two up. But no, the DoorDash driver is here. And so if you guys have been here, I'll play this one time, but I believe this could be the DoorDash driver. A couple things to give us some clues. So we almost have 1,000 people in here. Thank you guys so much. And I'll get to chat here. So we hear, somebody unlocking or locking their car. And so I timed this. I put a video where the officer, when they had arrived there months, in August of last year for a noise complaint, I kind of timed it to where he was walking and where I thought maybe the DoorDash driver would park their car. And the only audio cues we'd get, because obviously you can't really hear vehicles over there. But I think we would be able to hear maybe the horn or a car alarm beep, because just the decibel of it be a little bit louder. And I could be wrong on that. Beep again, literally 40 seconds later from the first two beeps. We know it's the same. I plugged those in. I did this on a previous live. I plugged those two sounds. It's clearly the same car, that I could tell you. I scanned the footage when the horn was going off to see if I could see the lights on these vehicles going off. It's certainly not happening in this frame as far as these cars. That still could mean it could be a car behind Queen Road, apartments to the left of us. It could be Linda Lane to the right. Although it sounds like the audio's coming from the left, which is something that's the next thing I'm working on, is trying to see if I can decipher if I can enhance left or right. I'm not sure if I can do that. That might be a little bit above my wheelhouse as far as working with audio. I'm familiar with it. I'm certainly no audio technician. Thank you, Porch Sitters, for the $3. Hope you're doing well. And hopefully I answered the question. Yeah, it was TikTok at 412. Yeah, TikTok. Yeah. Anyway, back to our last attempts. And also, just to go along with this being DoorDash, is then shortly after that last honk, or the two car alarm locks or unlocks, we hear a car about a minute later, which would add up. So, in my opinion, I think that is the DoorDash driver leaving. So I get these a lot, C minor. So if anybody hasn't dealt with DoorDash, you can leave notes. So when you order something, there'll be like special instructions. There'll be a section where, it says special instructions for the driver. So let's say, if you got a dog, you might want to warn them about your dog, or a porch, or a locked gate. And you can also say, hey, can you put it in the back porch or in the backyard? Or you can give them special instructions. And it's clear that it seems like they use this backsliding door more than the front door. And so I'm assuming, I don't know, but I would assume that they'll probably have the DoorDash driver deliver it to the back. So moving on to our next few things. Okay, so we hadn't seen Kohberger since 357. Or suspect vehicle 1, wherever you stand. Right, yeah, great. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, Santa lived on the second floor. It makes sense. Right, maybe she didn't want to disturb Bethany. Yeah, Bethany on the first floor. Okay. So another interesting thing. We're going to be seeing the suspect vehicle for the 4th time. Our last 2 times here. Another thing, remember, we usually would hear a vehicle if it's coming from Taylor Ave about a minute and 20 seconds prior to seeing the vehicle, which tells me that he's coming from Walenta Drive. I think it's possible that Kohberger did a full circle. Because we did hear him exactly about 1 minute and 20 seconds after we saw him on pass 3. But we don't hear anything before his 4th arrival. sounds like at that time there is a vehicle going down Taylor Ave right there. But here is Kohberger. So now this is where obviously he does something different, which is really interesting. Let me know what you guys think. Why would he do this? This really kind of surprises me. I'm still trying to understand why. Unless there was something blocking his way here, because it is just kind of like a one-lane thing that you can go behind this apartment. It's fairly narrow. But he decides to do a 3-point turn. Does it again. Well, this is what he's doing here. That's a good question, Junior. I've heard some speculation on some things. Maybe we'll address here at the end. Yes, it is the second floor. So this is where, because remember, there's a camera here, so we know what's going on at Queen and King, which also has audio. But obviously that hasn't been leaked out except for a screenshot. But we know, we'll know what's going to be going on. This camera is going to be, to me, I know the sheath is huge, the knife sheath. But to me, this camera right here, out of all the evidence that we know so far, which I think there's going to be more evidence that's going to surprise a lot of people, I think this camera is kind of probably be the biggest piece of evidence in my opinion, if not one of. And so obviously it's only 2 minutes from 405 to 407, so obviously he didn't even go down. He just did a 3-point turn here and then a 3-point turn here and then came back. So it's really weird, why didn't he just drive around and then do a 3-point turn? It's really weird that he did that 3-point turn here and drive back. I don't know. It's weird. Hey, Dina. Yeah, both of the 3-point turns. Liked what he saw with the past 4. Maybe wanted to get another good look. Maybe he was curious about maybe some of these surrounding areas as far as activity goes. Maybe that could be the reason. Could even been avoiding DoorDash. It's possible, but it sounds like he passed them before. But I think we'll know more, obviously, during the trial. Yeah, I'm assuming. I don't know 100%, but it would make sense for it to go to the second floor. So that is pretty much it. Let's see, we almost had 1,000 people in here. I just want to thank everybody. I'll recap a few things that stood out to me. And the next final project, I'm working on one last project as far as this audio and stuff. I've tried to push this as far as I can, but I think the big thing is we've definitely, in my opinion, I've figured out where the sound is coming from, which I think is huge because then we can kind of get an idea of, what's the traveling. The next thing that I want to try to do, but I don't know if it's, I think there's just maybe too many variables at play, is to, I can at least do it with these four vehicles because I know which direction they're heading. And that's the truck going west or east, and the four vehicles that we see going back and forth. So the next thing I'm going to try to do is all the vehicles that I know are going west. I'm going to see if I can take all the audio from that and see if there's some kind of similarity in pitch, and then take all the vehicles that are going east and then split those out and break them up, and to see if there's a noticeable difference between someone that's traveling west and someone that's traveling east, if that makes sense. Because I think, give me just a second. This is what I think. Because obviously sound waves are, very fascinating and way above my pay grade, but I think we're hearing the sound travel through this pocket, and here's the camera, would have been right here. So I think the sound's traveling through this pocket, and we almost kind of get something else too. So I think the sounds are coming through this little pocket here and this little pocket here. And so I wonder, with the vehicle going east and west, if there's a way to decipher the two, if that makes sense. So that way, the vehicles that we don't know which way are going, I would have a better idea as far as knowing we can hear the vehicle, but we don't know 100% which way it's actually going. So that's the next thing I'm working on. And that will be my final project as far as this, because I've taken this as far as I can. I will recap some few things if you came in here late. But I know a lot of people have reached out to me. They say they hear things, and yes, there's a lot of sounds in these videos. You got to keep in mind, I don't think we can hear anything that's going to be coming from Idaho Student House. I don't think anything. You got an entire 2 buildings of apartments here. I think that's going to block a lot of noise. And you also got these apartments here where the camera is situated. And so I think a lot of the random sounds, we hear a dog barking at one point, a lot of different thuds and stuff. But to me, I think it's just coming from the people that are here. I think it's just the camera's too far. Keep in mind the camera that is situated here is going to be huge because it did actually capture audio sound from the Idaho4. So that will be really big. Anthony says, sounds like a well-planned hit. I don't think so, but I mean, I know some people share that view. I don't think so, in my opinion. I think it was going to be one person and it turned into collateral damage. Chris, do you think there are cameras we don't know about? I think there will be more cameras for sure. Will there be some in this area? I doubt it, but I think there's going to be more cameras. I think more people have probably come forward and looked at theirs because obviously it even says in the affidavit that, that so far of what they've collected from canvassing cameras. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get more cameras, but are they going to be like in this particular area? Maybe not, but still, more cameras, the more we can see, because I think, in my opinion, the camera speaks the truth. It's not biased, and to me, I think, in my opinion, will be the downfall. And that's why I think when it comes to this case, I think it's a slam dunk. I hate to say it. Maybe not a slam dunk, but pretty darn close. Especially now with the judge throwing out the defense's grand jury, dismissal. Christina Strive, good to see you. Happy holidays. Thank you so much for gifting another Mob Crew membership. Gifts one almost every night that we go live. That is so sweet of her. Please, if you did get gifted, please thank her. That is very sweet. So I'll recap a few things. Holy cow. Did I get all these? Oh, Lone Pony. There you are. Finally, I actually understand the significance of the Linda Lane footage. Thank you, Chris. Amazing work. Thank you so much. And Camilla, I missed yours as well. Gifted a Mob Crew membership. Thank you guys so much. We are up to... I'd have to look at the members, but we're getting up there. It's so awesome. So I'll recap just a few things that... the main highlights of today's live. And if you missed the recent updates, which I'm sure if you're a huge follower of this case, you probably already know. But anyway, what I did, thanks to Jeff H., I was able to grab his footage because I didn't have the footage from 2 and 3 a.m. So what I did is, because my theory was these vehicles that we hear from the Linda Lane footage are coming down Taylor Ave. So I took the 4 vehicles that we knew were traveling on Taylor Ave and the direction they were heading. And anyway, they all match up. So from there, I wanted to see, after the suspect arrives, what do we hear is kind of the main point of the show. And there was some interesting similarities. So we hear the vehicle at 3:29 and 45 seconds. Or 40 seconds, technically. We see the vehicle at exactly 3:31. That gives us a minute and 20 seconds from the time the suspect drove from Taylor until we see him pulling up. That's past 1. The other thing is we don't hear a vehicle for another 3 minutes. So it tells me that I think he sat there overlooking the backyard for a couple of minutes. Probably seeing, scoping, see if anybody's moving around the house, stuff like that. If you have any questions, I'll spend the last 10, 15 minutes. If you have any questions, I'll stop the show and I'll see if I can get some questions. But at 3 minutes and 10 seconds after we see his first pass, then we hear a vehicle. So it can mean one or two things. Either after the first pass, he could have dipped out and went down Atlanta Drive, which means we wouldn't have heard him. Or he sat there and overlooked the backyard for a bit and then left, and then we just heard him go down Taylor Avenue. Now, to support that theory, the next time he shows up at 3:30 at 3:39. So we don't hear any vehicle. So second pass at 3:39, almost on the dot. If we go back 2 minutes, 3 minutes, there's no vehicle sound. I checked it. You can listen to yourself. There's no vehicle sound, which tells me it's a good possibility he did a circle, and he comes from Atlanta Drive, which means we wouldn't have heard him before him approaching that second pass. Then the same thing. I think he did the same thing. He pulled up, he sat for a bit, observing what they were doing, were the lights on, maybe you could see maybe somebody moving around, maybe checking the neighbors to see if there's movement with them. And then coincidentally enough, after we see him for the second pass, 3 minutes and 30 seconds, almost exactly like the first time. We hear a car go down Taylor Ave. And we know if he would have just not stopped, it should only took him about 1 minute and 20 seconds. So to me, that's 2 minutes of him possibly sitting back there, probably observing the backyard. Then another commonality, even though he left from Taylor Avenue, possibly, he was gone for 18 minutes. 3:55 and 45 seconds. And exactly 1 minute and 30 seconds later, or 1 minute 25 seconds later, excuse me. We see his vehicle. Now this is where I think he did something different, and he, instead of waiting, I think the lights were on, probably saw some people move around. Santa's DoorDash is about to arrive. So I think he dips out. And we hear a vehicle. Almost exactly 1 minute and 25 seconds. We saw the vehicle. Vehicle right after, which I think is the combination. So definitely some commonalities after we see his vehicle a few times with the 1:25 time frame. So yeah, so that's just what was there one more thing, and then I think when he's approaching for the fourth time, I think same thing, he came back down Walenta because we don't hear a vehicle 1 minute 20 before. There's no vehicle before it. And we see him for the fourth time. But does something a little bit different than the other times where it's a turn, which is really interesting. Still trying to look at this and try to understand what is there something that he saw that he really needed to go back and spot before he drove all the way around the other way. It's interesting, he supposedly goes up King Road right here, so maybe he wanted to make sure the neighboring homes were all quiet, you know, who knows. I mean, it's so many theories. But it is interesting that he does that 3-point turn and then he does a secondary 3-point turn here. So maybe he's just now he likes, maybe the lights are out, so it looks quiet, and now he's just kind of canvassing the houses surrounding the area, maybe just making sure his exits, and then of course seeing for the last time. So anyway, that's my little project that I've been working on for the last week now. I've spent a lot of time putting this together. I really appreciate those that could donate. It really means the world. Really try to, on this channel, we really try to stick with the facts and evidence that we know of. We do, of course, still speculate in theory. But if you have any questions about some of the stuff that I've done, I'll spend another like 10-15 minutes here. Of course, huge shout out to our wonderful mods, Karen D, Copper Horse, Jocelyn. I think Jennifer's, she's recovering. She's kind of in and out. Cammy says, unless I see BCK entering and exiting at 11:22 on video, he is not guilty. I respect that, but to me, I think we're going to find out. Of course, it's not this one. I think. Oh, is it here? Of course, it's in here somewhere. Oh, there it is. This will tell us everything because we're going to see his vehicle come up here, and there's going to be one glaring thing. Notice everybody's front license plate, front license plate, front license plate, front license plate, and guess what? Car's going to come down this road, and if it doesn't have a front license plate, that's not good. This camera, I've looked this particular camera up. It's 1080p. There's really one step above that, and that's nighttime color mode. That's the only difference. But other than that, this is about the best quality you can get for a camera. Better quality than the Linden Lane footage. And you are going to see him at the very least 8 times on this camera. 8 times on this 1080p camera. So whoever did it, we will know. So that's all I have to, and that's why I think this camera is going to be the biggest piece of evidence. Alibaba says they must be confident they got the killer. I think so. I mean, today's day and age, we've got cameras, we've got cell phone. I mean, we haven't even discussed cell phone. I'm sorry. I think there's, with our technology these days, geofencing, it's hard to get away with the crime. Anna says, great show, great job. Thank you so much. Yeah, we try to break down, we do experiments and scientific stuff. That's what we like because that's grounded. I mean, it doesn't hurt to theorize, of course, but that's what we do on this channel is we kind of stick with that stuff. This is the first time I've ever seen anyone identify a window for the dasher. It's fantastic works. Thank you so much, Sully Biker. That means a lot. Now, of course, that's just theory. But some of the things that we hear add up to that timeline for sure. Louise, thank you so much. Good job, Chris. I'm just seeing if there's any questions. Did you know the interview room called your channel out the other night? Great work. Really? That's awesome. Chris, he's got a great name, Chris, the interview room. That's awesome. And then another thing that people mention that you got to remember, a lot of people that believe that he's innocent, they mention, well, the PCA affidavit, there's not enough. There's not enough evidence. This isn't. Remember, they put the minimal amount. So just to give you a little background, because it's been a while since we had Steve from True Crime Web on, but somebody I worked close together. He was former forensic detective, worked in SWAT. I pick his brain all the time. We usually have him on Mondays, but right now he's just been busy with a lot of stuff. But eventually we'll get on track and have him on, hopefully on Mondays again. But anyway, he knows a lot about that stuff. And keep in mind, when it comes to probable cause affidavits, they are there to put the minimal amount in to get the thing signed off by the judge. They don't want to play all their cards and let the public know this is what we got on our suspect, just in case if there's variables, another suspects, maybe a secondary suspect could have been involved or something. They cannot give out all of their cards, so they are going to put the most minimal amount in. Usually, just like with the Richard Allen case, we get that one big nugget of the unspent shell that connects him to this. It's the same thing with here. We got that one big nugget where, the sheath leads him to Bryan Kohberger. But other than that, I guarantee you there's way much more stuff that we won't know until the trial, of course. So you got to keep that in mind. Their job's not to, give. When it comes to the PC affidavit, they're going with the minimal amount, and that's coming from somebody that's an expert that knows that kind of stuff because they used to do that stuff. So, but that's awesome for the people, the channels that shout out. I believe Dr. Brucato shouted you out too, Chris. That's awesome. That's really cool. Like I said, I really try to go for the scientific experimental stuff. That's kind of my big thing. Because it's, it's based and grounded in some kind of scientific evidence, clues, stuff like that. And so, yeah, I love doing this kind of stuff. Is it going to be right? Is it going to be accurate 100%? No. There could be many holes in what I just showed you. We even talked about that. Could be many different variables at play. But I still have one more thing. Like it said, I am working on trying to decipher if I can hear taking all the vehicles that are going west and east and see if I can kind of figure out, is there like a baseline when it comes to the vehicles traveling west compared to the vehicles traveling east that I could kind of figure out. But I'll see. I don't know if I could do that. I might be a little overstretching it, but it's stuff that I spend hours on because I love doing it. And honestly, I wouldn't be able to do it without you guys. So if you guys haven't, please hit that like button. It's free. It helps this channel out. We do much more than just true crime. We also cover cold cases and missing persons. It's winter time right now, so obviously we're kind of hunkered down. But when spring comes along, we actually go out and look for the missing. And we also work on cold cases. We are actively working on cold cases right now. We're not picking up any new ones, so please don't send me emails. We can only, we're starting small. Anyway, sorry, I started reading a comment and I lost my train of thought. But anyway, so yeah, we do a lot more than just true crime. But I always said that my channel was to get big, I was always going to give back in the best way I could. So, and yeah. Micro Gaming, I believe the footage from 1/11/12 has him dead to rats. I completely agree. Kim Watts, it's very interesting to try to understand the logistics and the timeline. That's why we like true crime. Yeah. Penn Disney feels different. BK's a patsy. See, the Patsy thing to me is like, okay, so you got Brent Kopaka, right? So he's dead, sadly. Very terrible with Brent Kopaka. You know, he was in the Marines. For those that don't know his story, he was out in Afghanistan. He was with his crew. Got hit by an IED. Apparently, all of his buddies died except him. They burned alive. Absolutely terrible. Probably messed him up beyond what we could ever imagine. And he had to come back home. We know a lot of people struggle when they come back home from that kind of stuff. I've never experienced that, so I may not be the right person to expand on that, but it sounds terrible. And to me, if you were going to have a Patsy, why not use him? He's dead, and you wouldn't have to worry about a trial. You say, hey, we got the guy. You know, he'd mentioned that you guys thought I was the one that, you know, took those kids' lives, and bam, and you take him out, and you just say, yep, we got him, and then you're risking a trial, which is going to be live. You're risking 30, what do we got, like 25 plus cameras right now. I put out a video that had at least 25 cameras. I'm thinking 30 cameras that we're going to watch suspect vehicle 1 driving. I mean, we are going to literally be watching video after video of him driving around. I mean, I'm sorry, but to this one, in my opinion, it's a shut and close. And to me, with the Patsy, why not just throw that guy under the bus, and, you know, your secret's not out there. And you wouldn't get exposed. And why waste the tax money? That's just my argument to it, you know. So anyway, that's all I have to say. Again, shout out to my wonderful mods. They do an amazing job. We're going to get some things sent out to them as well. But yeah, I got one last thing I'm going to try to do with the audio, and then it's pretty much as far as I can take this particular area. But that's really cool that a bunch of channels shuttered me out. Really appreciate it. Shout out to those guys. So thank you. Yeah, and that's the way I do it. I know other people do it differently. Glad to see someone speculating using what's available. And that's what we do on this channel. Now, does that mean everything I'm going to speculate or expand on is going to be right? No. I'm human. I make mistakes. So, agree to disagree. Right. We're all adults. I mean, and we may not agree on this case, but we may agree on the next one. But to me, there's just too much. Cameras don't lie. They're not biased. And to me, that's going to be the biggest thing in this case. So, no hidden tunnels, all that stuff. To be honest, I have not covered this case in so long because of the direction it's gone. The grub truck videos. I'm sorry. That is too much for me. I've gone down some rabbit holes with other things. I've talked about it before. I've gone down some really dark rabbit holes in other cases, but man, that grub truck stuff, I don't know. It's just not for me. So, anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful Monday. I'm not gonna keep my mods any longer. They work really hard. If you want, I can do an Amazon list again. I'm not big on asking. You guys know I'm not like, a lot of people get called out for grifters. That's not what I want to be. I feel like if you donate, it's because you felt like I did the hard work. I know not everybody can donate, especially around this time of season. But, we get by. So I really, really appreciate everybody. So with that, we're going to go ahead and end it. And please, if you haven't already, please hit the like on your way out. Please be kind to each other. Be sure to tell someone you love them. And I am going to bounce out here. My pet outro, I'm having issues with my StreamYard, so I can't play a pet outro tonight, but we'll do that on Wednesday. So we'll be back Wednesday